Hey guys, my name is Simeo, and recently there's been a lot of discussion in the Rainbow Six Siege community about buffing Blitz. People find him to be underwhelming, they don't think that he's a very effective attacking operator because a lot of the drawbacks that he has, and I wanted to give my 2 cents on this topic. I've been playing as him for a couple of days now to kind of get a grasp of why he seems to be so useless, and I wanted to go over some things that I think that Ubisoft could do to make him at least a little bit more effective. And so I think the biggest thing that's holding him back right now is that there's a lot of things that feel out of your control when you play as this operator. Like, it just feels clunky the way that he's able to move around the map and perform different actions. I think one of the best examples of this is that as soon as you activate your gadget and you flash someone in front of you, you have to wait a good 1 to 2 seconds. It feels like an eternity when you're in the thick of combat before you can even fire your pistol. This has resulted in a lot of frustrating deaths. I activate my gadget, assume I can aim down sight, which of course leaves my gigantic head exposed. We'll get to that here in a second. I assume that I'm going to be able to shoot the enemy in the face, but because there's this random delay, another enemy rounds the corner and they're able to take me out no problem. If there wasn't this delay, I would have been able to swiftly take out the first guy, hopefully get my shield up for the second, and at least be able to survive that situation. And while I know that some people will argue, oh, this is just a part of Blitz, it's been like this forever, and it's something that you need to get used to. And while I understand that, it's just a really odd aspect about this character. No other aspect of this game has this random arbitrary delay to it. And I don't even think the game gives you any in-game prompts of when you can actually fire your weapon. You just kind of have to play as this guy for a long time, get comfortable for that delay so that you know when you're able to shoot. Even if you've been playing as this guy for a while, I'm sure you're gonna have situations where things are popping off, it's really stressful, you need to get in and out, you need to take this guy down, but because there's this random delay in there, I don't even know why. Did it make him overpowered before? It's like, is this just to kind of tone down his power? You are left floundering. It makes him feel really clunky, and it's just an aspect about this character that I don't really agree with. Another thing I find to be pretty clunky is when you flash an enemy. When you flash anyone in Rainbow Six Siege, they're gonna bring up their hand above their face to give you the prompt that they are flashed and that they're probably blind and they have no idea what's going on in front of them. The thing is, though, is that it's not always perfect. If you flash someone at the very end of your range, they might still bring up their hand, but they can still clearly see you. I'm sure you guys have done this against an enemy Blitz that you fight against. You get flashed, you kind of flounder around a little bit to make yourself look like you have no idea what's going on. They aim down sight, and then you promptly just switch on over and shoot them directly in the face. And while this isn't the biggest deal, because the more as you play this guy, the more you start to understand how close you need to be to the enemy before you are going to get that full flash effect, or they're only going to be partially flashed. But it would just be nice if it was more reliable. That's the thing about Blitz, is that there's so many things about him that just aren't consistent, and it would be awesome if this aspect about him was more consistent. Now, another thing I think that holds him back is limb damage. If you guys remember when Rainbow Six Siege first released, if you shot someone in the limb, it didn't do full damage. I think it did about 75%, and that meant when you fought against a shield operator and you shot them in the leg or in the arm, while it did a significant amount of damage, it didn't do the full amount of damage. And so if you wanted to slowly whittle them down, that was a possibility, but you couldn't just quickly spray at their feet really quickly and drop them no problem. That, of course, isn't the case anymore. With the update, now my memory is a little fuzzy here, so I might be wrong, but I think the reason why Ubisoft made this change is that shield operators got the buff where if they are near an explosion and they face the explosion with their shield, they don't take the full damage. This, of course, was a godsend to all shield operators because it didn't mean that it was a free kill for anyone that had C4 anymore. But I think the way they compensated for it was that they increased the limb damage so that if you were on defense, you had some reliable way of taking them down. The thing is, though, is that that was actually a pretty big nerf to Blitz on a wide scale. Now, if you go against someone, sure, if they have C4, that's not something that you have to look out for as much. But now if they just shoot at your feet for half a second, especially let's say you go against a Jaeger, they can take you down almost instantaneously. Like, it's wicked fast how people can drop you if they know what they're doing, and it's all because he doesn't have an extended shield like Monty. He needs to get in people's faces. He needs to kind of run up there, or at least slowly walk up to the enemy, and if they're able just to quickly shoot at your feet very fast, well, you could counter by aiming down sights. That, of course, leaves you vulnerable as well, and it just puts you in a very precarious situation. And so I find the more that I play this guy, there's a lot of times where, yeah, I might be able to take out one person, I might be able to drop them that way, but because there is this very large weakness, which is they just can shoot your limbs, I'm slowly getting whittled down the entire match because I have to expose myself. I can't just get an easy headshot against someone, and they will eventually whittle me down that way. And so I'm not trying to advocate that he needs to be a juggernaut, because a long time ago, Blitz used to be a monster. Like, he used to be one of the most overpowered characters in the beta and the alpha. Like, this guy was disgusting. I don't want to see a return to that, but it would just be nice where he didn't feel like things were out of his control. I realize that this is a bit of a more controversial topic, because I know that some people like the way it is right now with shields, because it gives you some way of taking them down now that C4 is no longer as viable. But I think this is a very big weakness of Blitz, and I think that at least some tweaking to this aspect could at least make him a bit better. Now, the final thing, and I'm sure you guys already thought of this as soon as you saw today's video, is addressing his headshot hitbox. It is massive. I don't know why his earmuffs need to be connected to his head. If you shoot him in the earmuffs, as I'm sure you guys know, you're going to be able to drop him with that one bullet. Why? Ubisoft has already shown that all helmets do not indicate a headshot. If we look at Mira, for example, if you shoot her in the visor area, it doesn't actually count as a headshot. Why not take that same philosophy and add it on over into Blitz? First of all, this would just be more realistic, which I know people would be excited about, but also, and more importantly, it would mean that he doesn't have these annoying random deaths that feel out of your control, where the enemy kind of got a small peek of the earmuff on the side of your shield. Even though you had your shield up and it seemed like you were looking directly at them, they're able to take you down because of this gigantic headshot hitbox. I am terrified to aim down sight against a competent player who I don't have flashed. Because my headshot hitbox is so large, they just have to be at least halfway decent with their accuracy, and they're going to be able to take them down no problem. And so all in all, while I'm not advocating that Ubisoft changes every single thing that I talked about in today's video, do I think that he would be overpowered if they did? No, I still think that he would be a decent operator, but if they just changed one or two of these things, I think that he would be a lot more enjoyable to play. The thing is that Blitz is actually a lot of fun. I was surprised at how much enjoyment I was having when I was playing as this character, but then it was overshadowed by the amount of pure frustration when you die to one of these really annoying aspects that are just associated with him. And so give me your guys' thoughts on Blitz. Do you think that he's in a good place right now? Do you think that he needs a buff? We don't want him to be overpowered. We don't want to see a return to where he was just this godlike character who could hit fire you across the map. That's something I don't want to see, but it would just be nice if he had more of a presence in Rainbow Six Siege, and so let me know down below. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and until tomorrow, have a good one, and take it easy.